This video is on reconnecting with silence. First, we'll talk about what silence is and why it's important. Then we'll explore reasons why so many of us are disconnected from silence in our lives. And of course, as always, we'll end with ways to begin to reconnect with silence. Silence is an absence of sound, a stillness. In that space, it can be thought of as a pure presence when I'm fully connected or available to connect with whatever is happening internally or externally. I'm not distracted by the internal noise in my mind or whatever's happening in the world around me. The ability to be silent with yourself allows you to be fully connected to yourself, to your body and its wants and its needs, to that deepest place of knowing or intuition. I did a video called Are You Connected to Your Intuition? You might find helpful to get some clarity on what intuition is, and again, why we're disconnected and how to begin to reconnect. Being silent with others allows us to be in that state of pure presence, which is where authentic and deep connections are possible. When we're not distracted by the thoughts in our head or how we want to respond to what someone is saying, or distracted by the world around us, we can open ourselves up for true connection, deep connection with another human being. Silence is incredibly important and has been heavily researched. It's been found to lower blood pressure, to improve concentration and focus, to calm racing thoughts, to stimulate brain growth, to reduce cortisol, the stress hormone, to increase creativity or even allow you to become creative or to enter that space. It helps you improve sleep and creates conscious awareness, the ability, like we were saying, to be actually present and receptive to what's happening inside us and outside of us, not distracted by the noise of it all. So many of us spend so little time in silence. Very few of us were modeled or taught how to be in silence when we were younger. We might always have been bombarded by a distraction. We might never have seen our parents or other caregivers sitting in silence or being silent themselves. We might avoid silence due to past trauma or overwhelming feelings that resulted in a dysregulated nervous system. When we're caught in a constant loop of fight or flight, we actually can't find safety in the present moment. We can't find safety in silence, and we might avoid it, endlessly distracted by our thinking mind, or if you're like me, keeping ourselves endlessly busy, always doing, never even having a moment to breathe or a moment for silence. Some of us might associate silence with abandonment or loss, especially those of us who received the silent treatment in childhood. I know for me, when my mother was mad, oftentimes she would become silent. She would withdraw. She wouldn't speak to me at all. Those of us who have those consistent experiences might begin to associate silence with a death of sorts or an abandonment. So I know for me, flash forward in time, decades even, I avoided silence for that reason. When partners of mine became silent, I would automatically assume that there was an upset or that I did something wrong because I paired that association. Silence meant loss of love or meant abandonment. We can pair the experience of silence or associate it with many different negative experiences that very understandably then we want to avoid, assuming, of course, that we continue to associate silence with that into adulthood. So how do we stop? How do we begin to reconnect with silence in our life? We become conscious of our current relationship with silence. Are you someone like me who avoids it at all costs, prefers to be endlessly distracted on our phones, or maybe endlessly distracted with the thoughts in our mind? If you find little to no silence in your life, here's an opportunity to begin to make a conscious choice to create small moments of silence in your day, understanding that if you're like me, it might be uncomfortable. It will be uncomfortable. Though building silent moments into your day gives you then the opportunity to fully become connected with yourself and with others in the world around you. I'd love to hear from you listening. What is your current relationship with silence? And what steps have you been taking to reconnect with silence in your lives? Drop it in the comments below.